How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Tezayin, Daf 16 of Masechta BavaKama. Friends, I'll tell you this. I think this daf is going to be like a daf and a half. I'll tell you why. The reason is because we still have some work to do on Tezvav Mud Beis, and we got to do Tezayin. And what I would like to do is I would like to make it all the way to the end of the parak on Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. That way, tomorrow we could just start with the new parak. That is what I would like to do. That's what I would like to do. How do you guys feel about that? Which means that today might be a long one, but tomorrow would, I guess, be a shorter one. So, if you want, there's going to be a new Mishnah on Tezayin Amud Beis. I mean, if you want, you could, just stop listening there and then pick up there tomorrow. I mean, break it up wherever you want. But I think I would like to try to do that. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to start in Das Tezvav Amud Beis at the Mishnah. Okay. It says the Mishnah about, 15 lines before it gets wide. Chamisha Tamin v'chamisha Muadin. All right. There are 5 shor tams, okay, that you chayiv chatzi nezek. There are 5 shor muads, okay. Habeba eina muadis. So it's a shor tam in the following examples. Lo ligach, not to gorv. Lo ligof, not to push with its body. Lo loshuch, not to bite. Lo lirbot, not to trample. Lo livot, and not to kick. Okay, the assumption is that a shor is not muad to do those things, and it's chatzi nezek until they've done it 3 times. Hashem. Now, when it comes to a tooth, muedes lechol asaroilo. So Shane, as we know, right? Shane, regel. Oh man, excuse me, Babylon, right in the first minute. Oh man, but it's all right. It's only 12:30 in the afternoon, so I'm not actually tired. All right. So now in terms of eating, so Hashem muedes lechos aroila. So the assumption is that an ox will eat food, okay, and if it does, then you chayev to pay nezek shalim. Haregel muedes lishbor b'derech hilucha. The assumption is that while an ox is walking, it might step on things and break things, and if it does, then you'd be again chayev nezek shalim. Now, of course, remember, shein and regel, you're only chayev in rishus hanizak, not in rishus harab. Okay. V'shor amud. Now, of course, a shor amud you have to pay nezek shalim. V'shor amazik b'rishus hanizak, and a shor amazik b'rishus hanizak. The assumption being, like Reb Tarfin, that even a shor tam, right? If Reuven's shor tam sends Shimon's shor to Oxwood in Shimon's house, so even though Reuven's shor is a shor tam, nonetheless would be nezek shalim. All right. Ve'adam, and a fellow. We learned that the other day. A fellow is muad. I think we said while he's sleeping, right? It might move around. So I was talking to somebody the other day, and I think she said that she accidentally hit her cat while she was sleeping. So there you go. I said, look, I was taka learning above BavaKama. It's okay. A wolf. Of course, let's give a shout out to our chover at Babylon Talmud, Sam Griffin, who's guarding all the Yidden right now. So thank you, Sam. And the reason why wolf reminds me of Sam Griffin is because he has a yingle named Wolf, Ari, and the truth is, Ari, the lion. Interesting. Sam Griffin, this is like his Mishnah. His first boy, his name is Wolf. His third boy, his name is Ezra Leo, which is like a lion, Ari. Hadov, the second boy, is Bear, Yeshaya Bear. So this Mishnah Interesting. So Azeva, Ariva, Adov, Anam, Vabados, Vanochash are Elu Muadin. Sam, did you know that? That a wolf, a lion, a bear, a leopard, a bardlus, the Gemara is going to explain in some ways what a bardlus is. Vanochash, a snake. He doesn't have a kid named Snake. Are Elu Muadin, so they are Muad. Alright, fine. Okay, okie dokie. Alright, fine. Nezek Shalim. Rabbi Lazar almost says Rabbi Lazar, Bisman she'ein b'nei tarbis, that in these examples, if they are, kind of tamed, if they're like raised, to not be violent, so then einon muadin, so then they're not muads. Sorry, mom. V'anochash muad le'olam, and a snake, however, you can't raise a snake. Snakes will always be nezek shalim, according to Rabbi Lazar. Now, Midiktani Ashein Muedes Le'echol Michlal B'Chotza Nizak Askinon. So from the fact that we are talking about Ashein Muedes Le'echol, right? From the fact that we're talking about Shein, and of course we know that we know from the Pasuk of Yer B'Stei Acher, it has to be B'Shus HaNizak, not B'Shus HaRabim. So Michlal B'Chotza Nizak Askinon. So it means, oh gosh, come on. It means that we're talking about the Chotzer Anizak and Shimon's property, right? That Reuven's ox ate stuff in Shimon's property. Oh my goodness gracious, Babel, freaking yawn. Oh my gosh. Vikatani be'ema ein muedes l'shalim kule v'chatzi nizak mishalemes. Mani rabbanani. Dami mishunikaim v'chatzi nizak chatzi nezek ud mishalim. Did you get the kasha? You want me to read it again? Vikatani, but it also taught behema eina muedes right? Meaning, right? The Mishnah said chamisha tam chamisha muadin habehena eina muedes, which means that we're talking about chatzi nezek. So we just said that the Mishnah talks about at one point Shein. Now Shein you only chayav b'chatzer anizak, which means that we're talking about chatzer anizak, Shimon's property. But at the same time, we also say that there are 5 examples that they are not muad, which are basically keren and toladas of keren. And we're saying, what are we saying? Katani behema ena muedes l'shalim kule, that you don't pay nizak shalim, aval chatzi nezek mishalemes. But if Reuven's shor tam sends Shimon's shor, goes into Shimon's property and sends Shimon's shore to Oxwood, so then you would pay chatzi nezek. Mani rabbanan, that's the rabbis. That the rabbis say that shor tam b'shus nizak is chatzi nezek, right? Shor tam that gores is chatzi nezek, regardless, according to the rabbanan, if it's B'Shus HaRabim or B'Shus HaNizak. But Ema Seifa. What about when we go weiter in the Mishnah? Shor HaMuad. So we say that Shor HaMuad is Muad. V'Shor HaMazik B'Shus HaNizak. Ve'Adam. As well as Shor HaMazik B'Shus HaNizak. Shor HaMazik B'Shus HaNizak. Or Shor HaMazik B'Shus HaNizak. That even if Reuven's shor tam goes into Shimon's property and sends Shimon's shor to Oxwood, so it's going to be nezek shalim. I saw on the Reb Tarfon, that's like Reb Tarfon, the Amar Mishuna Kaim B'Chatzon Nizak nezek shalim with Mishalim, who says that shor tam that gores in Rosh Hashanah is going to be nezek shalim. So Reish Rabbanim is say for Reb Tarfon. So what's going on over here? The first part, we're saying that it's a chatzi nezek, which is like the rabbis, but then we're saying it's nezek shalim like Reb Tarfon. What is it? The Reish is the Rabbanan, the Sefer is Reb Tarfon. In yo b'diuk, the Reish is the Rabbanan, the Sefer is Reb Tarfon. There are Amar le Shmuel of Yehuda, that Shmuel says to Rav Yehuda, Shinin, a sharp fellow, Shvok masnisin, stop trying to figure out how to explain the Mishnah to all be one person. V'sa'ar basroi, just hold like me, Reisha Rabbanon v'Sefer Reb Tarfon, that the Reisha is in fact the Rabbanon and the Sefer is Reb Tarfon. Rabbi Lazar Mishmei the Rav, but now says Rabbi Lazar in the name of Rav, however, Kula Reb Tarfin, that the entire Mishnah is Take Reb Tarfin. Oh, okay, so then how do you explain the Reisha where we talk about Chatzi Nezek? Reisha b'chotzar myuchedes lepeiris le'echad mei, and the Reisha is talking about when only Shimon has access to the chotzar vis-a-vis peiris. So therefore, if Reuven's ox eats Shimon's peiris, he's going to be chayiv for shein nezek shalim. But vilaza l'shvar. But both are allowed to use the chotzar for their oxen. So the legabe shein avila chotzar anizak, that vis-a-vis shein, it's considered only Shimon's, and therefore if Reuven's ox eats Shimon's fruits over there, so he's going to be chayiv nezek shalim. But to the legabe Keren, but vis-a-vis Keren, since both Reuven and Shimon are allowed to use the chotzar for their oxen, havya rishus harabim, would be considered rishus harabim, and therefore, right, since both of them are allowed to have access, and therefore it would be chatzi nezek like Keren rishus harabim. Omer of Kana says of Kana misu l'shmaita kamid of zvid min ardoyo. Oh, says of Kana that he was saying over this shtickle Torah to Rav Zvid min ardoyo. V'omarli, Rav Zvid min ardoyo says to me, mimatis mukmasla kula ki Reb Tarfin. Can you really say that the whole Mishnah is Reb Tarfin? Hakatane, but the Mishnah said Hashem mu'edes lechol es haro'ila, that shein, right, they chai for shein if the ox eats that which it normally eats. Okay, if it eats fruits or whatever it eats. Ro'ila in, shein ro'ila lo. So it's mu'edes to eat food that it normally eats, but let's say it eats like a garment or something that it doesn't normally eat, so then you would not be chayiv. V'i Reb Tarfin. Now, if the Mishnah is Reb Tarfin or Omar, but didn't Reb Tarfin say Mishuna Keren b'chotzar anizak nezek shalim mishalim, that in an abnormal situation you would nonetheless pay nezek shalim? So therefore, I would think that even if the ox eats something that it doesn't normally eat, and that should just be considered abnormal damage, which would be a tolada of Keren. And if it's a tolada of Keren, so then it would be, according to Reb Tarfin, nezek shalim. Why are we saying that by shein there would only be chayav if it eats that which is roila? If it's that which is not roila, it should also be chayav, because mishuna Keren b'chotzar nizek nezek shalim mishalim. Oh, where am I? Where am I? Hello, the olam rabbanani. So really, the Mishnah is the rabbanon. Okay. So really, it is the rabbanon. And chatzi nezek, and short tam b'rishus hanizak would be chatzi nezek, not nezek shalim. Okay. So then, how do we explain later on when it mentions shamazik b'rishus hanizak that it's going to be nezek shalim? You have to kind of reorganize the Mishnah. There are 5 short tams. Okay, as we listed, right? Basically, Keren and its tolados. And if they become short muads, right? If it gores 3 times, for example, well then all 5 are muad. And those are the 5. Okay, so there are 5 tams, and if you get warned for those 5, then they become the 5 muads. Now, v'shein v'regel, when it comes to shein, when it comes to regel, mu'adin mitchilason, so there already it's mu'adin mitchilason. There's no such concept as a short tam vis-a-vis shein and regel. V'heichan o'ada ason, and where are you chayiv if they cause damage by eating or stepping? B'chotzar nizak. Dafka b'chotzar nizak, as the pasuk says, uvir b'stei acher. That the damage has to happen in a different chotzer, in Rishus HaNizak. Maskeflo Ravina, but Ravina asks Akasha. Hakatani lekamon, that we say later on, Shamazik b'Rishus HaNizak ketzad. You hear the kasha? Probably not. According to what we just explained, we basically explained away Shamazik b'Rishus HaNizak, right? We said the entire Mishnah is the Rabbanon, who say that short tam b'Rishus HaNizak is chatzi nezek. So then how do we explain Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak? Right, which would imply that short tam b'Rishus HaNizak is nezek shalim, not chatzi nezek. So we kind of explained it away by saying that no, when we're talking about Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak, it's really talking about shein and regel, that where you chai for shein and regel in Rishus HaNizak. The problem is that later on in the second parak, we go into details regarding the things listed in this Mishnah. And guess what it details? Guess what it explains? Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak. Meaning, Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak is a thing in its own right, and in another week from today, on Daf Chof Daled, another 8 days from today, on Daf Chof Daled, so we're going to explain what Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak is. So don't try to kind of like, explain it away and say it's not really a thing. It totally is a thing. So then what is it? So again, Maskef Ravina Asakasha Hakatani Lekama. We learn in Daf Chav Daled Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak Keitzad. What's pshat with Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak? So Yomid b'Shlama Ayriba. So it makes sense if we say that Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak in our Mishnah is its own thing. Mishum Achri Katani Keitzad. That is why in another 8 days from now we're going to get to it. We're going to get back to it. We're going to say, no. How does this work? What is Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak? Tell me more about it. But if you do some fancy shtick to kind of explain it away and say, Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak, really? No, that's not what it means. It really means that where you chai for shein and regel in the Rishus HaNizak, but it's not actually its own thing of Shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak. So in my case, then why in 8 days from now are we going to pull it out again and put it under the magnifying lens and say, okay, what is this? What do you mean? What is this? It doesn't exist, I thought. Rather, says Ravina, explain the Mishnah like this. There are 5 short tams, right? Nezek and its tolados. Keren and its tolados. And if they become shor muads, if they get worn 3 times, okay, then they become the 5 muads. V'shein v'regel muadim mitchilasen. And shein and regel are always going to be nezek shalim. V'zeu shor amud, and that is shor amud, meaning, it's a little bit funny to read, meaning the 5 initial ones that we had are the shor amuds, right? Meaning there are 5 short tams, and if they are worn 3 times, they become shor amuds. Those are the 5 shor amuds. V'shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak. Now, when it comes to shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak, a short tam, right? If Ruvain's short tam goes into Shimon's Chotzer and sends Shimon's ox to oxwood. So I just wanted to say oxwood. Machlok Reb Tarfon v'Rabbanan. So that's take a machlok Reb Tarfon v'Rabbanan that Reb Tarfon would say it's nezek shalim, right? Mishuna keren b'chotzer nizak nezek shalim mishalim. Whereas the Rabbanan say chatzi nezek. V'yesh muadim acherim kayotze bo'elu, and there are other things that are mu'ad mitchilason, for example, as ha'ev, ve'ari, ve'adov, ve'abardlis, ve'anomer, ve'anochish. Tananam Yochid, we should have a brisa like this. Chamisha tamim ein. There are 5 short tams. Ve'mu'adu chamishasam mu'adin. And if they are worn 3 times, then they become the 5 mu'ads. V'shein v'regel mu'ad mitchilason. And shein and regel are always going to be nezek shalim, the mu'ad mitchilason. V'zeu shor amud, and these 5 examples that we initially gave, right, the 5 short times that you worn, then become, that's shor amud. V'shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak. Now when it comes to shoramazik b'Rishus HaNizak, machlokes Reb Tarfon v'Rabbanan, v'yesh muadim acherim kayotze be'elu, and there are other muads, hazei v'ari, hadov v'anomer v'abardlos, v'anochosh. Okay, fine, basically okay, a brisa that basically says the same thing that we just said a minute ago. Okay, those who kind of like, frame this discussion as kind of a question. Tanan, on the one hand, Tanan, we have a Mishnah that says chamisha tamim v'chamisha muadim, that there are 5 tams and 5 muads. V'suleka, there's no others. V'ayika, there's also aze'ev, ha'ari, v'adov, v'anomer, v'abardlos, v'anochosh. Mishani, and we answer Ravina chasur mechsav achikatane, that look, you got to kind of rework the Mishnah. Chamisha tamim hein, there are 5 tams, ve'muadu, chamishas muadin, and if they are worn 3 times, then they become 5 muads. V'shein v'regel, muadim mitchilason, and Shein and Regel are always going to be Nezek Shalim. V'zeu Shor Muad, those examples of Muads are the Shor Muad. Now when it comes to Shor Mazak, P'shus HaNizak, Machlokes of Tapim V'Rabonon, V'esh Muadim Acherim, Kayotze Be'elu, Hazeh V'ari V'adov V'anam V'abados V'anochosh. Okay? Fine. What do you want me to tell you? Okay. Says the Gemara V'lo Lirbots, and not to Lirbots. Okay, fine. So we said that a shore is not muad lirbots, to like step on stuff, right? Yeah. Amar Belazar lo shanu el pachin gedolim. Have a pachin ketanim orcheu. So we say. So it says Belazar that when the Mishnah says that it's chatzi nezek, when a shore goes and steps on something, because it's abnormal, it would be abnormal if it was big, right? If it stepped on something big. And we're not talking about regel here, right? If it was, as we're about to say in a second, right? If it were small, like jugs and stuff, then that would be regular, that would be like normal, and if it's normal, then it's not Karen, it's regel, right? So meaning when we say chatzi nezek, by stepping, we're talking about if it like goes and it intentionally steps on something big, that would be chatzi nezek. But if it was just walking and it kind of, or even just whatever, even if it, I guess, intentionally stepped on something small, but I guess it's considered like a normal thing, that wouldn't be considered abnormal. Therefore, it would be regel and it would be nezek shalim. So again, Amar Belazar lo shanu el pachin gedolim av pachin ketanim orchehu lemim misayele. Let's say that the following is a support for this. Habehema mu'edes lahalich kidarka, that a animal is mu'edes to walk normally, ulishaber, and to break things, ulimaich, and to, we want to assume that it means, and to step on things, as adam v'sabema v'sakelim, to step on people, animals, vessels, and we want to assume that means when they are small, and therefore it's a proof that when they're small, it would be considered kind of normal, and it wouldn't be, it would be nezek shalim. So dilma menatzad, to which the Gemara answers, it's not necessarily proof for this, because it could be that when it talks about lima'ech, it doesn't mean to step on when they're small. It could mean to kind of squash if it is in a tight space and it kind of squeezes a person between itself and the wall. You can remember those who say, Omer Belazar says, lo tema pachin gedolim hu dilav orche. Don't say that it's limited to big vessels, because that would be abnormal, and that's why it's chatzi nezek. Avapachin ketanim orchehu, but small vessels would be considered normal. No, el afilu pachin ketanim nami lav orchehu. But even small vessels would be abnormal. Meisvei, we have a contradiction. L'moich es ha'odam v'esabehema v'esakelim, but we have a brayse that says that the animal is muedes to step on. You want to assume it means to step on small people, small animals, small vessels. So that would mean that it's orche. Amar Belazar says Belazar dilma minatzad. Maybe no, it's not talking about stepping. Maybe it's talking about squeezing in a tight space. Yikidirami lo mirma. Those who ask a kasha, you say that, rephrase it as a kasha. Tnan v'lo lirbots, not to step. But we have a brayse that says that it is normal for an animal to, we want to assume that means to like step on people, vesabeima, and animals, vesakelim, and vessels. Well, it depends. If they're big, so then it would be abnormal. If they're small, then it would be normal. Okay, so a few different ways to kind of navigate those different scenarios. I'm trying to figure out if the power washers are power washing. I'm not sure that they are. Okay, let's go weiter. Hazeva ari v'chule. Okay, so we said that a wolf and a lion. We said a bardalos. So for Gemara, my bardalos. What's a bardalos? Rav Yehuda nafriza. Rav Yehuda says it's a nafriza. My nafriza. What's a nafriza? Rav Yosef appa. Rav Yosef says it's an appa. Meisvei. But we have a kasha. How can a bardalos be an appa? Rav Meir omer afa tzavua. Rav Meir says that also the tzavua. Rav Belazar omer afa nochash. Rav Belazar says also a snake. But omer Rav Yosef tzavua zo appa. And Rav Yosef says tzavua is an appa. So how can a bardalos be an appa? And then Rav Meir adds also a tzavua, but a tzavua is also an appa. So then bardless and a tzavua are the same thing? Lokasha kam tzavua, zocher kam tzavua nekeva. Well, our mission when it says bardless, that's talking about a girl appa slash tzavua, and Reb Meir is talking about a boy tzavua. Titania, that we learn in Brisa, tzavua zocher, a boy tzavua, lachar shavashanim naisa atolev, after 7 years becomes a bat. Atolev lachar shavashanim naisa arpud, and a bat after 7 years becomes an arpud. Arpud lachar shavashanim naisa kimush, and arpud after 7 years becomes a kimush. Kimush lachar shavashanim naisa chuach, a kimush after 7 years becomes a chuach. Chuach lachar shavashanim naisa shade, and a chuach after 7 years becomes a shade. I don't know exactly what we learned from this brisa. Maybe that there's kind of this concept of like a boy appa tzavua thing. Now listen to this. When a fellow dies and he goes to Wellwood and they bury him, so then his spine after 7 years becomes a snake. But that only happens if you did not bow down by the bracha of modim in Shmoneh Esrei. I assume it's talking about Shmoneh Esrei. We said earlier, the Meir says of Meir afa tzavua. Okay, also the tzavua would be considered a dangerous animal. Rabbi Lazar Omer afa nochosh. Rabbi Lazar says even the nochosh. So the kasha is, what does it mean? Rabbi Lazar says even the nochosh, implying that all the other ones also, the ze'ev, the ari, etc., those would also be considered dangerous. But we learned in our Mishnah, Rabbi Lazar Omer bizman shein b'nei tarbus, that if they are domesticated, einan muadim, then they are not muad. Ve'anochosh muad la'olam, and the nochosh is always considered dangerous. So in this brisa, it sounds like Rabbi Lazar is saying that all those animals are dangerous, plus the nachash. But now our Mishnah sounded like, look, you can domesticate those other animals, but only the nachash cannot be domesticated. Tini nachash, so say not that Rabbi Lazar says afa nachash, but he says nachash, that only the nachash is globally dangerous. Amar Shmuel says Shmuel, Ari b'shus arabim daras v'ochal poter tar v'ochal chayev. Interesting. That says Shmuel that if you have a lion in Rishus Harabim. Now, I don't know why there would be a lion in Rishus Harabim. That sounds dangerous. But there's a lion in Rishus Harabim. So if it kind of tramples on its prey and like eats it while it's still alive, so then that's kind of a normal way that a lion eats. Apparently, the normal way that a lion eats is it finds its victim and it tramples on it, and while the thing is still alive, it starts eating it. What it does not do, the assumption is, it does not first kill the animal, and then when it's dead, it starts eating it like a mensch. So now, tying this back into our sugya in BavaKama. So therefore, eating it while it's still alive is the normal way for a lion to eat its prey, which would mean that would be shane, and to first kill it and then to eat it, so that would be mishuna, that would be different, in which case it would be keren, and therefore it would be chatzi nezik if it's in Rishus Harabim. So Amar Shmuel says, Shmuel, Ari b'Rishus Harabim, I'm reading that again, if you have a lion in Rishus Harabim, daras v'achol potter, so if while it's trampling on its prey, it's eating it, so then potter, because that's the normal way to do it, which makes it shane, and shane is potter in Rishus Harabim. But tarab ve'achal, but if it first tore up and killed the animal, and then ate it, that is not the normal way that a lion would eat, and therefore it's in Rishus Harabim, so chayiv, because that's a mishuna karen, right? It's karen, and it would be chatzi nezek. Daras ve'achal potter, we say that if he's trampling and eating while it's alive, his potter came into orche limedris, since this is the normal way for a lion to consume its prey, hava le kimo she'achla peris virakis, so it's basically the same way that it would eat fruits and vegetables. The hava le shein b'Rishus Harabim ufater, which is shein in Rishus Harabim. We know that shein in Rishus Harabim is potter. Taraf, but if the lion first tore up and killed the animal and then ate it, lav orchiu, that would not be the normal way for the lion to eat its prey, and therefore that is why you're chayiv chatzi nezik. L'meima de treifa lav orcheu. So we're saying that for a lion to tear up its prey and kill it and then eat it is not normal, but we have a pasuk. The pasuk says in Nachum, Aryeh toref b'dai gorosa, that a lion tears up its prey for its cubs. Bishvil Gorosav, sure, for its cubs, not for itself. Umechanek Lilivosav, and it strangles for its lionesses. Bishvil Livosav, for its lionesses, not for itself. By Mali Terev Chorav, and it fills up its holes with torn up dead animals. Bishvil Chorav, yeah, if he wants to save it for later, but not if he wants to eat now. Umonosav Treifa, and in his layers, he has torn up stuff. So bishvil monosav, for his layers, right? So we see if he wants to save it for later, if he's killing for somebody else, so beseder, but for himself, he would just eat it while it's alive, while he's killing it. V'atanya, but we learn in a brayso v'chein, and similarly, chaya shenichnesa l'chotzer anizak, that if you have a wild animal like a lion that goes into it's a Ruvain's wild animal goes into Shimon's property. Okay, so now we're talking about Pershus Anizak. So Tarfa, Behema ve'achla, if it tore up, i.e. killed the animal and ate it, v'achla basar neit meat mishalim nezek shalim. He pays nezek shalim. So it sounds like we're saying, Tarfa Behema ve'achla, if it kills and tears up its prey and eats it, mishalim nezek shalim, because it's shane, Pershus Anizak. But I thought that it's not normal to first kill and tear up the prey before eating it, which would mean that it would be mishuna, that would be it would be considered different. It should be chatzin nezek, at least according to the Chacham, I guess. Hachav mayaskinon. Here, what are we talking about? Shetarfa leaniach. It's talking about where the lion ate it, tore it up in order to leave it for later, which would make it normal. Ha'achla katani, but it says tarfa ve'achla, right? It says it ate it. Well, the lion changed its mind. The lion first intended to leave it for later, but then the lion changed its mind and decided to eat it. And how do we know that the lion changed its mind? How do we know that the lion changed its mind? The more so, the Shmuel Nami. Why don't we say the same thing by Shmuel? Dilma Hachihu. Why don't we say also by Shmuel that maybe it changed its mind, right? That Shmuel had said that if a lion in Rishus HaRabim tears up and kills its prey, and then eats it, you would be chayiv because that's not normal. Maybe he tore it up for later and then changed its mind, in which case it is normal and he should be potter. So Amr of Nachum by Yitzchak says, of Nachum by Yitzchak Litztadin. No, the way that you have to understand the Brisa Litztadin Katan, you have to kind of break it up into two ways. Meaning Shetarfa Laniach. So if either the lion tore up the prey to save it for later, that would be considered normal. Or if it trampled it and while it was killing it, it ate it. So in both of those cases, Mishalemes Nezek Shalim, because both of those things would be considered normal, and therefore, if this happens in the Rishus Hanizak, the Mazik would be Chayav Nezek Shalim. Ravina says Ravina Kikamar Shmuel, that what Shmuel is talking about is Be'ari Tarbus. It's talking about a tamed lion, a domesticated lion, or tamed lion, I guess. And because it's a tamed lion, so that meaning so really, Ravina wants to say that tearing it up and eating it would be normal, but because it's a tamed lion, it's abnormal for the tamed lion. And like Rabbi Lazar the Omar, Lav Orche, who says that Rabbi Lazar says that you can tame a lion and then it would be not normal. But if that's the case, that we're talking about a tamed lion, and that's why you're going to be chayiv nezek, chatzi nezek, and Rishus HaRabim because it's abnormal. Well, if it's abnormal to tear it up and eat it, it would also be abnormal to trample and eat it because we're talking about a tamed lion. So Ravina Lav the Shmuel Itmar, rather Ravina is not going on Shmuel. Ela Masnisa is going on the Brisa. Kitani Masnisa, when the Brisa talks about Ruvain's lion making a mess in Shimon's Chotzer, Be'ari Tarbus, that's talking about a tamed animal. Balibud Rabbi Lazar, and like Rabbi Lazar the Amar, Lav Orche, who says that it's not normal then for the lion to kill Shimon's ox. If that's the case, Chatzi Nezek B'Lei Shalume, but if it's not normal, then it should be Chatzi Nezek, not Nezek Shalim. The Yaid, well, it was a shor muad, it was a lion muad. If that's the case, my high the Katani Lo Gabi Tulad the Shane. Well, if it's a shor muad, then it would be Karen. Why is it taught in the context of Shane? Kabbalah the Karen boy the misnah. It should have been by Karen. So kasha, that's taka good kasha, because right, if it was tamed and therefore abnormal, then it shouldn't have been taught in the context of Shane. It should have been taught in the context of Karen. Okay, and now we have the final stretch of today's daf. Ma bin tam lemud. What is the difference between a short tam and a short mud? Elisha tam mishalem chatzi nezek migufo, umud mishalem nezek shalim mina aliyah. That as we've seen before, the short tam pays chatzi nezek, but only considering the value of the damaging animal, whereas a mud, when you have to pay nezek shalim, the full damages. Well, that's even if the damages come out to more than the value of the damaging the ox, it doesn't matter. You have to pay. Right? It says the Gemara, my aliyah. What does it mean aliyah? You have to pay with your best stuff. If it's a short mud, you have to pay with your best stuff. And similarly, the pasuk says by Chizkiyahu vayishkav Chizkiyahu mavosov. That Chizkiyahu was buried with his fathers. Vayikberuhu b'maile kivrei bnei David. In the best, b'maile, right? V'amar Abelazar b'maile eitzel me'ulim sheb mishpachu maninu tov l'shlomo, right. That when it says maile kivrei b'nei David, it means by the best of his family. I guess he was one of the Melech Yehuda, so he comes from Shevet Yehuda, so he was buried by David and Shlomo. It says by Asa Melech Yehuda vayikberu b'kivrosov, that he was buried in the graves asher karelo be'ir David, that were dug for him in Ir David. Vayashkivu b'mishkav, and they put him in a bed or a coffin. Asher milei b'samim, some place where they allowed him down. Asher milei b'samim uznim, that was filled with different kinds of fragrances. Mai b'samim uznim. Reb Elazar Amar zine. It was just lots of different kinds of fragrances. Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar says Shmuel bar Nachmani b'samim, fragrances shekol mariach bain, that anybody who fragrances them, anybody who smells them, bali de zimo, will be led to inappropriate relationships. It says by Yirmiyah that they dug traps to trap me. And they hid obstacle traps, for my feet. Rabbi Elazar Amar says that they accused him of being with a harlot. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar shechashdu me'eshes ish, says on Shmuel bar Nachmani that they accused him of being with a eshes ish, with a married woman. So I understand according to the opinion who says that they accused him of being with a harlot. That's what the pasuk means. Ki shucha amuka zona, right? It says ki chahu shucha lechteni, and shucha amuka zona. That shucha, a deep trap, is a zona. But if they say that they accused him of being with an eshes ish, my shucha, what's the shucha? Well, atu eshes ish minafka michal zona. Yeah, but an eshes ish would also be znus, and therefore the pasuk of ki shucha amuka zona would be shaykh to eshes ish as well. So I understand, according to the opinion who says that they accused him of being with an eshes ish, that's what the pasuk says. Va'ata Hashem yodata eskol atzosom olelamovis. Hashem, you know all of their evil plots to kill me, because an eshes ish is a chiyuv miso. But if you say that it was just from znus, which could even be with like a pnuya, although what is zona pnuya zona pnuya, right? It could be with the zona pnuya, and there's no, right? So my lamovis. So what does it mean for death? Shishlichu levertit, that they threw him into a pit of mire. It means like swampy, muddy stuff. Darish Ravit says Rabbi Darshins, what does the pasuk mean? You muchshalim lefanecha, that they should be failing before you, be failed before you. Beis apcha, when you're upset, aseboim, do to them. Where Yirmiyah says Yirmiyah lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribono shel Olam, Master of the world, afilu b'shah she'osin stake, even when these nudniks are doing tzedakah, hachshilem bivnei adam she'enan mu'uganim, make them fail by providing charity for people who are not deserving, kedei shelo yikablu le'en tzachor, so that they shouldn't receive any reward. Yirmiyah got very upset at these people that were trying to kill him. V'chavod oslo b'moso, and by Chizkiyahu it says that they did a lot of, that they honored him when he died. Yeshiva al kivro, they made a yeshiva by his grave. Pligi bar Reb Nosson v'Rabbanon, Reb Nosson and the Rabbanon argue. One opinion is that the yeshiva was there for 3 days. The other opinion is that the yeshiva was there for 7 days. Some say the yeshiva was in session by the grave of Chizkiyahu for 30 days. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, that they honored him when he died. Chizkiyahu melech Yehuda. This is Chizkiah, the king of Yehuda, sheyatzu lefanav 36,000 chalutzei kasef, that 36,000 people with their shoulders exposed went out in mourning. Divrei Yehuda, that's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Amalei Reb Nechemia. Reb Nechemia says to Rabbi Yehuda, "Va'alu lifnei Achav asukein." They did this also for Achav. So what's the big honor for Chizkiyahu? El she'enichu sefer Torah al mitaso. Rather, they placed a sefer Torah on his coffin, on his bier. Is that a thing? V'amru, when they said ki yem zeh ma shekasu bazeh, that this nifter over here, that Chizkiyahu was mekayim everything that was written in this Sefer Torah. But we do this even nowadays. No. Look, we might take out a Sefer Torah for somebody special, but we would not leave it on the coffin, on the mita. Alternatively, we can even leave the Sefer Torah on the mita, but we don't say kiyem zeh mashikosu bazeh. BavaKama says BavaKama azilna pad Yochanan limishal shmaita. Says BavaKama that he was walking, or he would walk. He was walking with Rabbi Yochanan and to ask Rabbi Yochanan, some questions. Now, I guess when Rabbi Yochanan went to the bathroom, and then I asked him something afterwards, after he went to the bathroom. Lo pashalon, he would not answer me until he first washed his hands. Then he would put on tefillin and mevarich, and I believe make a bracha on the tefillin. And then he said to us, afilu kiyem amrinon, that we even say kiyem, that we even say nowadays kiyem zeh mashukosu bazeh. Limed lo amrinon, but we don't say limed. We don't say that limed zeh mashukosu bazeh. And Rabbi Yochanan holds that by Chizkiah they said limed zeh mashukosu bazeh. Nowadays we don't say limed zeh mashukosu bazeh. We say kiyem zeh mashikosu bazeh. Ve'amar mar, but didn't we say gadol Talmud Torah she'at Talmud mevi lidei maaseh? Didn't we say that Talmud Torah is great? Right? We saw this in Masechta Kiddushin on top like Mem or something. That Talmud Torah is greater than like all these other things like Gemilas Chasodim and Ashkamas Beis Medrash, Kibbur Avim, etc. Because Talmud is maybe lidei maaseh, but ultimately it sounds like the ikar is the maaseh. So why would we say kiyem zeh mashukosu bazeh? Isn't that greater than limed zeh mashukosu bazeh, which is what they said by Chizkiah? Lo kasha lemigmar ha la'agmure. No, doing is better than learning, but teaching is better than doing. So therefore, nowadays we say kiyem zeh mashukosu bazeh, but by Chizkiah it was limed zeh mashukosu bazeh. He taught what was written in the Torah, which is the greater level. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, I'm not super speeding, but I'm speeding a tiny bit, because it looks like the battery on my microphone is dying. So I want to try to wrap up before it dies. But we don't have much left, and this is moving kind of quickly. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yechai, Ma'adichsev, what does the pasuk mean? Ashrei zorei al kol mayim, Ashreichem zorei al kol mayim, fortunate are you, those who plant on all waters, Mishalchei regel, Hashor v'achamor, that send the regel, the foot of the ox and the donkey. Kol ha'osek b'Torah v'gemilas chasodim, anybody who was busy with Torah and Gemilas Chasodim, Zoch lenachlas shnei shvatim, will merit to the inheritance of 2 tribes. Shenema, as the pasuk says, Ashreichem zorei bein zuriya el tzedakah. That it says Ashreichem zorei, that fortunate are those who plant And Zriya, planting, is tzedakah. Shenemar ziru lachem l'tzedakah, v'kitzu l'fi chesed. That plant tzedakah and harvest kindness. So you see that Zoreh is referring to tzedakah. Vein mayim el Torah, and mayim is a reference to Torah. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, hoy kol tzami l'chul amoyim. That anybody who's thirsty, come drink water, which is a reference to Torah. Okay, so anybody who does Torah and Gmus Chasadim, v'zoch lenachlas shnei shvatim, he merits the inheritance of the two tribes. Zoche l'chila ki Yosef, he zoche to the canopy, like Joseph. D'chsiv ben Poras Yosef ben Osada alei shor. That by Joseph, the women would come over to look, and I guess that's a reference to the canopy. V'zoch lenachlas Yisachar, and he was zoche to the inheritance of Yisachar. D'chsiv Yisachar chamagorim. Yisachar is a strong boned ox, and Rashi says it means that he's got a lot of property. He's got a lot of real estate. So anybody who toils, who's busy with Torah mitzvahs, so then he merits the nachlas shnei shvatim of Yosef and Yisachar at the shore and the chamor. He's damned those who say oiv of nofel in the fun of Yosef, that his enemies fall before him like Joseph. The Chsiv, the pasuk says, boim amim yinagach yachtov avsei oretz, that with the horns of the re'im he will gore all the people who need to be gored. V'zoche lebina ki Yisachar, and he merits bina, understanding like Yisachar. The Chsiv, u'mipnei Yisachar yodei bina lo'itim ladas ma'yaise Yisrael hajun olach arba ovis. Alright, right? Those who say we'll get bina like Yisachar, fine. Alright, Chevre. Hopefully my battery for my microphone is not dead. And we managed to learn the first parak of BavaKama. Pat yourself on the back. Alright. Givaldig. Alright, peace out.